What is good, FLocers? That is my fellow lockers and aspiring lockers. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to take a couple of minutes and just go through the don'ts of Microlocs. So if you're interested in the list that I have, then stick around. All right, the first thing on my list of don'ts when it comes to Microlocs is do not compare your journey to someone else's. I find that it is very hard to do this because it is very easy with as much access as we have to different social media, whether it's through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, just all over the place. There's access to see other people's hair and lock journey. And although it's okay to draw inspiration from other people's lock journeys, I don't think it's a healthy thing to do to compare yours to someone else's, because no two set of locks are the same. No two set of heads are the same. Even though your locks may look similar to someone else's, I guarantee that you probably do not have the exact same amount of strands of hair on your head. You probably have a different density. You have a different curl pattern than that person has. So although the outcome or the look of your locks may be the same, then, there's no guarantee that you guys have the same everything else. And so it can be discouraging also if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, especially people who are far down the line. It's easy to look on YouTube and other things like Instagram and see people who are 2 years into their lock journey, 5 years into their lock journey, 10 years into their lock journey, and be like, man, I can't wait till my locks get to that point and look like that. But again, your locks may come out looking similar to that person's, or they may look completely different. And so if you are gonna look at other people's locks and compare, at least do it in a healthy way, knowing that your locks probably will not come out looking like someone else's. Your locks will come out looking the way that yours will. And I'm sure if you were to post pictures or videos, there are gonna be people who are gonna have lock envy for you. And so that's just part of the journey, and knowing that your lock journey is special to you and to no one else. And so to just appreciate it. And I know it's cliche that people say to live in every moment, but you have to, because every stage of it is its own beauty in and of itself. And you can either choose to miss that part of the beauty because you're so focused on the end goals. And then you'll look back and be like, man, now I can put my hair back in a ponytail, but I miss when it was shorter, when I could do more with it, or when I cared to do more with it. So just keep that in mind. Number 2, do not retighten your locks too often. It is very hard in a world and a society that tells us that we need to be looking a certain way, to be managed, to be kept and groomed in a certain fashion for work, to want to have the appearance of your locks looking pristine and maintained from day to day. And I myself am a person who I don't dislike the way my hair looks when it's freshly retied, but I prefer the way my hair looks after a few weeks have gone by and it starts growing out. But there are people who do like the look of freshly retied or retwisted locks, and that's totally fine. But you need to be mindful that retwisting or retying too often can lead to damaging your locks, whether it be losing hair, thinning of locks, things of that nature. So you just want to be really conscious of not retightening too often. Number 3, do not wait too long to retighten your locks. And I know this can sound very controversial, because before I was saying don't tighten too often, and now I'm saying don't wait too long in between getting your reties. So for each person, this is an individual thing and this is different. If you go to a loctician, they may put you on a schedule and tell you this is how many weeks you need to go before you need to come back in. And as your locks mature, then that time might change. But as a DIYer, I have to set that schedule for myself. And you have to look at your hair and say, okay, After so many weeks, my hair is getting to this point. It's getting to the point where I'm having to pop locks or separate locks every day or every other day, or they're getting matted a lot quicker and a lot worse than before. Of course, on wash days, you're gonna have a significant amount of matting if you're 5-6 weeks out from the last time that you retied. The first couple of weeks, I don't have any type of matting or popping going on. But as I hit 3, 4, 5 weeks, then I definitely, as the weeks get higher, so does the amount of matting and marrying that happens at the roots. And so I do have to go through and, gently separate the locks. Sometimes it's just a matter of one hair that between two locks is, combined. And so it's just a simple pop. And there's other times where they've matted and they're real good. And so it's important to not stretch your reties out too long, because then you're gonna have to deal with a lot of popping. And again, depending on what your hair density is and things like that, you may be causing yourself to lose more hair than necessary when you're having to pop your hair and separate it. So just keep that in mind and know your hair, or if you have a loctician, make sure that your loctician is paying attention to that, as I'm sure they would, and just keep up with some type of schedule. I'm not saying it has to be every single time, it has to be 5 weeks. That people have their different opinions about that. I try to go 5 to 6 weeks, depending on how much I feel like my hair has grown during that period of time. It'll either be 5 weeks or 6 weeks in between my reties. Number 4, do not allow others to do things to your hair that makes you uncomfortable, that you don't feel is right. Whether that's a loctician who you're questioning whether they're tightening your hair too tight or retwisting too tight or doing a style that's pulling your hair too tight. You know your hair better than anyone else. Even if you go to a loctician and you're not versed in locks, you know your hair and your scalp better than anyone else because it's been on your head, not anyone else's. So even though there might be areas that you can't see, you know how things feel. And I feel like we're so accustomed, whether you're at a beauty salon or at a barber shop, to just be, well, I won't say for everyone, but a lot of us have come accustomed to just suffering through the pain and not speaking up because you don't want to be that controversial customer who's constantly complaining that you're hurting or that the barber nicked you or that the alcohol burns or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's your hair and it's your head. So if you're not speaking up for yourself, no one else is. So just make sure that you speak up. Don't let anyone do anything to your hair or your head that does not feel right. If it feels too tight, let the person who's doing your hair know. If you're doing your hair yourself, make sure to ease up if you feel like it's too tight. If you're doing so many rotations and it's pulling the mess out of your scalp and you're getting bumps, you need to ease up on the rotations and not do so many. I know some people are very adamant about getting through the full rotation. If you're doing a 4-point rotation, you have to end going down or end going a certain direction. And that's great, but if you haven't stopped early enough to make sure that it's going down, but you still have a little bit of room to spare, don't force the retightening to go further, because you're just gonna be pulling your hair out and snatching your roots out from your head, and that's not gonna lead to positive, healthy scalp in the future. So just make sure that you don't do it yourself and don't let anyone else do something to your hair that you know isn't right. Number 5, do not listen to every single thing that every person that you watch or read tells you about your hair. Yes, it is important to take advice from people. Yes, it's important to get knowledge and reap the benefits of other people's research and their knowledge and their experience. But again, your hair is your hair, your head is your head, so nobody knows it better than you do. You can take little bits and pieces from what people say and apply it to your journey, but nobody else's journey and nobody else's advice can be 100% for every person. There's no blanket regimen or care for locks because everybody's head of hair is different. So take things with a grain of salt that people tell you. You have one person that says, don't ever use oil on Microlocs. Then you have another person who says, use oil on your Microlocs. You have someone else that says, don't mist your hair every day, or don't use water. Only use water on wash days. And then you'll have someone else that tells you to wash your hair whenever you want to and whenever it feels dirty. You have to figure out what feels right for you. And so take people's advice, but realize that it is only that. It is advice and people's opinions. Your scalp isn't someone else's scalp, so someone else might be able to go 6 weeks without washing their scalp, and their scalp is completely fine. It's not dry or flaky. It's not itching. It's not irritated, anything like that. Your scalp after 3 days might be on fire and be going crazy. And you're sitting here listening to this person who's saying only wash every 6 to 8 weeks. And you know, it looks like Christmas in your scalp the whole 6 weeks long. So don't get so much into listening to people's advice that you don't listen to your own inner voice and know your own head of hair. Number 6, do not forget to cover your locks at night specifically, but when you're doing other activities. It's very important when you go to bed at night. Even if you have a silk or satin pillowcase, I still find that the nights that I do not put my bonnet or do-rag or something on my head, that I will wake up and find lint in my locks. Thankfully, I haven't had any issues where the lint is deeply embedded, at least that I found so far. But there are times that I get lint in my locks and I have to go through, and it's, like I said, it's on the surface, so I haven't had a hard time getting it out. But I know that that lint can get embedded in your locks to the point where the only way to get it out is if you're sitting there like picking it, and that can destroy the integrity of your locks. So don't even give lint that chance. There's no way to prevent lint 100% unless you're just going to keep your hair tied up all the time. And even still, you know, the times that you take it off, there's always going to be possibilities for lint to get in your hair, but you can minimize it. So at night, wrap your hair up, whether you're using a bonnet, a do-rag, a headscarf. Put something over your head in addition to the pillowcase. I know some people don't like sleeping with something on their head, but unless your sheets and your blanket are satin or silk too, you're running a risk of getting lint from your blanket, you know, especially if you're the type like me that likes to have your blanket up over your face and stuff while you're sleeping, then that lint is bound to get in your hair. And also, when you're out and about, depending on what you're doing, if I'm cooking something that has a lot of scent or smell, onions or something that's strong that stick to my clothes, it's gonna stick to my locks too. So I make sure to cover my hair if I'm cooking something that has strong smells, or if I'm doing yard work, cutting the grass, stuff like that. The smell of grass or gasoline, things like that, that sticks in your hair, and it's gonna stick for a long time. And you think, oh, maybe I'm the only one that can smell it. No, other people can smell it too. They might not say anything to you because they're trying to be nice, but they can smell it too. So make sure you cover your locks up when you're going out in the elements, when you're doing something that has odors or smells that would stick to your clothes. Just a general rule. If it would stick to your clothes, it's gonna stick to your hair, the scent. I don't know that I would recommend going out to a restaurant and putting on a do-rag or a scarf or anything like that, unless it's, you know, a decorative one, but hey, to each their own, do what you do. Number 7, don't ever let anybody shame you or make you feel less than for the decisions that you choose with your locks on your lock journey. I think the most important thing is that you gotta stop trying to do other people and do you. Do what works for you. Again, take advice from other people, but don't let others shame you. The lock community is an amazing community, but it can also be a very judgmental one, depending on where you stand and what you do with your locks, whether you choose to wash regularly or not wash regularly, whether you choose to use oil or not use oil, whether you choose to use product or conditioner. There's so many things that people can get into and be judgmental about when it comes to other people's locks that has nothing to do with them. That's a whole different topic for a whole nother day. But don't ever let anybody shame you. Your journey is your journey and it's your experience. So make sure that you enjoy it. You can take advice from other people, but don't take it as the word. Don't take it as the only way. Don't let anyone shame you. Enjoy your journey, be on your journey, thrive in your journey, and love your hair, love your locks, love the process, and just don't let anybody shame you. Don't let anybody make you feel bad for decisions that you decided to make. If you make mistakes along the way, who hasn't made mistakes along the way? You live, you learn, you do better next time, or you don't, and you make the same mistakes again, and then hopefully you've got some experience and some stories to share from those experiences. That wraps up my list for today of the don'ts of Microlocs. If there's any other don'ts that you guys can think of, put them in the comment section below and let me know. And also make sure to subscribe to my channel, please. That helps so much. I'm trying to grow my channel, so please help me by hitting the subscribe button. And also take a second and hit the like button, as that helps with the algorithm and that helps to push the videos and ranking and things like that. So please just take a couple of extra seconds and hit those things. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching to the end. If you made it to the end, hope you have a wonderful day. And remember to be kind and spread positivity to one another. Bye.